Well, here we are with the finale of the Fixing the Multiverse Saga series. Before we start, I just want to thank everyone for all the support shown to this series. It's been a lot of fun to make, and hey, even if you don't agree with the changes that I have proposed in this series, I hope you all found some enjoyment in watching, and hey, maybe it inspired you to come up with your own hypothetical Multiverse Saga slate as well. With that said, like last time, if you have not watched Fixing the Multiverse Saga Phases 4 and 5, please watch those two videos before watching this. They will both be linked in the description below. With that said, the ending of the Multiverse Saga consists of 6 movies and 6 shows that follow the general themes of heroism, duty, and the setting up of the next generation of heroes within the wider MCU. Anyways, enough rambling, let's finish this up and jump into the slate. Show number 1, Loki Season 2. This 9-episode series would lay the groundwork for the large multiversal crossover event coming near the end of the saga. Episode 1 would show the aftermath of the Fantastic Four film, while also establishing Loki's mission during the series. He Who Remains is tasked the Fantastic Four to work with Ouroboros, the lead scholar and engineer on multiversal theory within the TVA, to figure out a way to save the multiverse from the upcoming war led by the Council of Kings. Loki, on the other hand, is tasked with teaming up with Mobius and Hunter B-15 to track down Kang variants to gather more insight into their plan of attack to help the TVA prepare for war. He Who Remains' return to the TVA causes Ravonna Renslayer to feel uncomfortable and like she has forgotten something, establishing that everything isn't as He Who Remains has explained it to be. Episodes 2 to 3 show Loki, Mobius, and Hunter B-15 attempting to locate the Kang variant they believe is the most harmless of the group, Victor Timely. However, due to the instability of the multiverse, the trio find the prospect of multiversal travel through the quantum realm incredibly difficult, deciding that their best course of action is to return to the TVA and ask Ouroboros for help. Episode 3 ends with a twist. As the group prepares to return to the TVA, they encounter a mysterious man inside the quantum realm. A man who calls himself Victor Von Doom. Episodes 4 to 5 would deal with Loki and Doom forming an unlikely friendship and deciding to work together to confront Victor Timely, a beneficial decision for Loki since Doom has both the knowledge and capability to travel the multiverse despite the threat of incursions. After arriving and confronting Timely, they find that Timely himself vehemently disagrees with the actions taken by the Council of Kangs, feeling that the multiverse should flow unimpeded and agrees to help Loki and Doom any way he can, also revealing that he has been researching a being who could have the power capable of destroying the Council of Kangs while also fixing the massive influx of incursions. The being in question is named the Beyonder. Episode 5 deals with Loki, Doom, and Timely returning to the TVA consulting Ouroboros about the existence of the Beyonder. But we also see Loki and Doom continue to bond, both having a shared goal of fixing the multiverse, albeit for very different reasons and through the use of very different methods. Doom feels a genuine bond with Loki, going so far as to remove his mask while chatting with his friend, causing Loki to comment that his face looks strikingly similar to the hero of his universe, Tony Stark. A small detail that will become important later. Ouroboros returns with information related to the Beyonder, an ancient being said to reside in the Beyond Dimension found at the very edge of the quantum realm. This pushes Loki and Doom to search for the Beyonder, while He Who Remains works with Timely to figure out immediate steps they can take to defeat the Council of Kangs. However, episode 5 ends with Doom spotting Johnny and Ben wandering around the TVA. Some of that angers him, causing him to believe that Loki, a man who he considered a friend, thought that his own brilliance was not enough on its own. He needed the help of his arch rival, Reed Richards, as well. This plays into episodes 6 to 7 as we see Loki and Doom travel to the edge of the quantum realm in an attempt to access the Beyond Dimension. The Beyond Dimension itself is protected by a powerful magical barrier, one that not even the combined power of Loki and Doom are able to overcome. Due to this, Loki suggests that the duo return to the TVA and see if they can figure out a different way to open the barrier, a proposition that enrages Doom, revealing his resentment towards Loki and truly showing the audience why Doom acts the way he does. He is a man who constantly feels undervalued and underappreciated due to Reed Richards, and at every corner he wants to not only prove that he is superior to Richards, but that he is better in every single aspect of his being, the true peak of humanity in intellect and capability. Doom is someone who seeks to constantly be in control and pull the strings, feeling that a perfect specimen such as he is born to be in control, while Loki, having matured dramatically since the first season, firmly believes in aiding rather than controlling, wanting to use his powers to maintain balance when needed rather than use it to rule those beneath him. This ideological clash results in the two splitting up, with Doom being committed to finding a way to gain access to the Beyond Dimension on his own, while Loki returns to the TVA to figure out next steps. Episode 7 ends with a massive reveal. While the two were away, the TVA was attacked, and both Victor Timely and He Who Remains were slain. Episode 8 shows what happened at the TVA while Loki and Doom were attempting to access the Beyond Dimension. Renslayer caught a glimpse of Timely and suddenly began to have a nervous breakdown, something caused by Timely's face, a face that reminded her of an ally she had long ago. This is when we were given a flashback to the first Multiverse War, when He Who Remained defeated his variants and established the TVA, with it being revealed that Ravonna Renslayer was the assistant of Kang the Conqueror, the man who shares an identical face with Timely, but had her mind altered by He Who Remains due to her impressive leadership skills and battle prowess in order to serve under him at the TVA. With her memories restored, Renslayer goes rogue and manages to get into contact with Kang the Conqueror, informing him of what has been transpiring at the TVA. Kang, who managed to complete a map of the quantum realm based on the device created by Cassie and Janet that was destroyed during Quantum Mania, works with Renslayer to travel to the TVA, killing a large number of TVA soldiers along with He Who Remains and Victor Timely. Feeling that no major obstacles stand in the way of the Council's victory, Renslayer joins with Kang once again as they prepare to begin reshaping the multiverse. Episode 9 shows Loki and the surviving members of the attack, namely Mobius, Hunter B-15, the Fantastic Four, and Ouroboros, attempting to figure out what to do next. Loki decides to finish what He Who Remains started, becoming the leader of the TVA, and starts planning a counterattack against the Kangs, something that is aided by Reed Richards, who reveals an invention designed by human Ouroboros that they call the Multiversal Bridge. So that while it is not complete, it should allow them to gather powerful variants from around the universe to help fight against the threat posed by the Kangs. Loki encourages Reed to continue work on the device, but in the meantime, he ends off the series by making a call to his brother, Thor of the main MCU universe, warning of the impending threat and encouraging him to gather as many heroes as he can to stop Kang, noting that together the brothers can save the multiverse. Next up, we have show number 2, Moon Knight, Season 2. This 6-episode series would actually be a multiverse project, but with a twist. Episode 1 would show Moon Knight stopping the villain, the Midnight Man, while also showing us that each of Moon Knight's 3 personas has become well adjusted to their life in New York. The episode would end with the head of the Ennead, Ra, appearing and asking for both Khonshu and Moon Knight to aid in an urgent matter. Episodes 2 to 3 would take place on the Celestial Heliopolis, a Pog dimension like the TVA that is home to the Egyptian Ennead. Keep Pog dimensions in the back of your mind, they are extremely important. Ra reveals that Thoth, the Egyptian god of space and time, discovered that an individual had managed to time travel back to the days of ancient Egypt, became pharaoh, and is attempting to completely alter the course of history. While Thoth did not completely understand the ramifications of these actions, both he and Ra feel it could result in the erasure of the Egyptian gods from history if it goes unaddressed. Because of this, Ra decides to send both Moon Knight and his own avatar, Sun King, back in time to deal with the threat through the use of Thoth's time-controlling powers. Episode 4 would show Moon Knight and Sun King being sent back in time to ancient Egypt, exploring the unique features of the ancient world while also exploring the character of Sun King. Sun King suffers from both bipolar disorder and social anxiety, only being capable of warning Moon Knight to avoid him if he gets angry. The episode would end with Moon Knight and Sun King being captured by the Egyptian army and meeting the man who they were sent to defeat, Pharaoh Rama-Tut, a Kang variant and member of the Council of Kangs. Episode 5 begins with Tut revealing why he traveled back to ancient Egypt, a decision he made purely as a result of being bored waiting for the council to begin their grand plan, deciding that he would live out his wildest dream, becoming a god in the eyes of millions while avoiding the consequences of his actions. Since the multiverse will soon be destroyed, messing with the balance of space and time further is of little consequence. Tut ascended to the throne thanks to the futuristic technology he provided to the citizens of ancient Egypt, causing them to believe that he was a man sent by the gods themselves to serve as their new pharaoh. Tut would offer the two men a deal, saying that if they agreed to serve as his assistants in the upcoming conflict, he would spare their lives and allow them to live freely in the Kang's perfect universe. After both men refuse the offer, we watch as Tut prepares to kill Sun King before being stopped by Jake Lockley. Episode 6 would show an epic clash between Moon Knight and Rama-Tut, a battle that truly shows how powerful Kang and his variants are, their futuristic technology giving them incredible strength and durability. Moon Knight appears to be on his last legs when we hear Sun King scream, telling Moon Knight to run away and abandon the fight. With this, Sun King unleashes a truly insane amount of power, sacrificing himself in order to kill Rama-Tut, showing that the amount of power needed to defeat a Kang variant is enormous. With the threat defeated, Thoth brings Moon Knight back to the present as we see Jake in a state of complete and utter distress, fearing for the future based on Tut's threat. Seeing this, Ra would bring both Moon Knight and Khonshu to Omnipotent City to meet with Thor, who asks Moon Knight about what he saw. Post-credit scene would show Thor return to New Asgard and meeting with Lady Sif, asking her to get him in contact with Hercules and prepare New Asgard for war. So these are the first two shows of this phase, so let's jump into our first movie. Movie number 1, The Incredible Hulk 2, Future Imperfect. Okay, so before we start this, yes, I know that Hulk is one of those characters that has issues related to distribution rights between Disney and Universal. I truly don't know where the rights to distribute a Hulk movie currently stand. The multiple articles I read seem to contradict each other. So I guess we'll assume that Marvel owns the Hulk IP and Universal still owns the distribution rights. Let's just say that based on the success of the World War Hulk movie and Hulk's increased involvement in both phases 4 and 5, Disney and Universal decided to play ball based on the financial viability of a Hulk sequel film. Yes, this is extremely meta, and honestly, it might be the most unrealistic thing in this entire series. You know, two major corporations getting along. But yeah, this is the explanation we're going to roll with, so let's move on. The movie follows Bruce Banner, who has reverted back from his Hulk form and finds himself unable to change back. Similar to Infinity War, but different, I will explain. Flying through the galaxy after his banishment from Earth, the project truly seeks to make the Hulk into two distinct characters, Bruce Banner and the Hulk, which is seen through the two dealing with their psychological and mental challenges. As it turns out, the Hulk feels that Banner hates him, stemming all the way back to Infinity War when the Professor Hulk persona was made. Bruce wanted Hulk to act like him, think like him, and practically become Bruce entirely, causing the Hulk to feel rejected and underappreciated by Bruce. Bruce, on the other hand, created the Professor Hulk persona in order to control his rage and become a benefit to society, something he felt the Hulk was incapable of becoming. This psychological struggle and the relationship between Bruce and the Hulk will be explored throughout the film, but the project sees Bruce's spacecraft get captured and taken back to Sakaar, where he is confronted by Kieran, the new leader of Sakaar and Bruce's former lover. After the Grandmaster was overthrown in Thor Ragnarok, Kieran became the new leader of the country and gave birth to a son, the biological son of Bruce Banner, Scar. Scar resembled the Hulk, which caused him to be outcast as a child, with the residents of Sakaar resenting him for resembling the man who destroyed many of them in combat, and also resembling the creature who served as the Grandmaster's pawn for many years. Kieran promised Scar that she would do her best to find his father, placing a bounty on his head, a bounty that was unable to be fulfilled due to Earth's increased security thanks to Saber. However, now that Bruce has returned, Kieran wants nothing more than to allow Scar to take his anger out on Bruce, the man she loved who abandoned her long ago. This results in Bruce, who is still unable to transform into the Hulk, being forced to fight in the arena against his son Scar, who yells at Bruce about abandoning him and causing him to appear the way he does, an appearance he says not even a mother could truly love, a statement that causes Hulk's self-esteem to crumble. The fight consists of Bruce attempting to run away from Scar, who has strength similar to Hulk but is also capable of manipulating the very Earth itself, a skill he got thanks to Kieran's genetics. While it appears that Bruce will die in the battle, the fight is interrupted by an unlikely group. The new Guardians of the Galaxy that consists of Rocket Raccoon, Cosmo the Space Dog, Groot, Adam Warlock, and Phyla. As it turns out, the Guardians had been tracking the bounty put out by Kieran and decided that if they ever found that someone managed to capture Bruce, an ally Rocket worked with during Endgame, they would respond and free their ally any way they could. This results in an all-out fight between the Guardians of the Galaxy and the residents of Sakaar, including an awesome showdown between Adam Warlock and Scar. The fight causes massive damage to Sakaar, resulting in a prison break that gives the Guardians just enough time to escape on the Bowie. There would be a minor subplot involving the newly released Grandmaster attempting to regain his crown on Sakaar, but the main story would reveal that Scar managed to board the Bowie during the chaos and intends to continue his mission to kill Bruce. This is when the Bowie's alarm systems will begin blaring as Rocket realizes that they are headed for a corrupted jump point and do not have enough time to change their course. The group barrels their way towards the jump point and arrive in a location that feels and appears vastly different from anything they have seen before. As it turns out, the thing Rocket perceived as a corrupted jump point was actually an incursion. It turns out the universe the group found themselves in is in Universe 9200. Home of the Maestro, a version of Bruce Banner who became King of Earth after humanity wiped out most of the population through the use of nuclear weapons. The group would meet Maestro on Earth, a meeting that would directly lead to Hulk and Bruce resolving their differences, seeing the dark fate that could come over them if they continue down the path they are currently on. Maestro holds a firm ideology that humanity is a flawed species. They always feared him and what he was capable of, yet they destroyed themselves through their own hubris. Maestro believed that he was used as a scapegoat for his entire life, being told that his powers are capable of destroying the world, allowing humans to justify their actions of stockpiling weapons and other destructive devices that cause more harm to the populace of Earth than he ever did. As a result, Maestro rules with an iron fist, acting more as a dictator than a president or king, killing humans who disobey him or who frustrate him, the true definition of a monster. While Scar wants to quickly find a way to return home, both Bruce and Rocket say that the group cannot leave until they stop Maestro's tyrannical rule. This is when Bruce and Hulk decide to resolve their conflict, with the two agreeing that the world needs both of them for drastically different reasons. Bruce for his scientific intellect and the Hulk for his world-altering powers. One cannot be complete without the other, but in order for this to happen, they must find a balance. This balance is first shown during the final battle of the film as we watch the Guardians of the Galaxy and Scar get completely decimated by Maestro, whose rage and unquenching thirst for bloodshed and vengeance has caused his power to reach levels similar, if not greater, than Worldbreaker Hulk. However, we see Bruce finally return to a version of Angry Hulk, but this time one that is more controlled and is capable of increasing his anger and power when necessary. necessary, but also a Hulk that can use Banner's intelligence to strategize. The improved version of Hulk manages to defeat Maestro, chaining him up and liberating the citizens of the world. The ending shows the group attempting to return to their universe, with Scar also forgiving Hulk, foreshadowing the formation of a true father-son relationship between the two. However, the movie ends with it being shown that the incursion problem has gotten worse. While attempting to enter an incursion detected by the Bowie, the group finds themselves stuck in the quantum realm, with the instability of the multiverse impacting the place that serves as its connective tissue. In the post-credit scene, we see a chained-up Maestro visited by Dr. Doom, who offers him a chance at real power if he would agree to lend him his intellect and strength on a mission to save the multiverse. As you might imagine, Hulk and the Guardians will return soon, but before that, let's move on to our next show. Show number 3, Vision Quest. This 9-episode series would follow the exploits of White Vision following his escape from S.W.O.R.D. at the end of the Wonder Man series. Episodes 1 to 3 would feel similar to the first few episodes of WandaVision, as we find Vision living inside the idyllic Cherrydale neighborhood located just outside Washington, D.C., complete with a nice park, a small corner store, and interestingly, is comprised of residents who are entirely robotic beings. This is when we are introduced to Vision's family, his wife Virginia, daughter Viv, and his sister Jocasta, who has a strikingly similar appearance to that of Ultron. The first 3 episodes would show the dynamic of the neighborhood, the relationship between Vision and his family through actions such as playing with the family cat Ada, and also going on a family picnic. We'd slowly start to watch Vision begin to feel like something isn't quite right as he blacks out from time to time and feels as if he is viewing the world from a different person's point of view. This culminates in episode 3 and Vision encourages his family to go on a road trip with him. But as they attempt to drive out of Cherrydale, it is discovered that they are unable to leave because Cherrydale is not a real neighborhood, but some kind of makeshift warehouse designed to look and feel like a neighborhood. The ending of the episode would show Vision black out once again, with members of Damage Control entering the building and destroying the memories of Vision and his family, so they would not remember the events of the day. This is also when we get the first glimpse of the man who created this elaborate neighborhood and its robotic residences. None other than Zeke Stane. The episode 4 would have Vision's family repeating the events of the day before, but for some reason Vision appears to be under the weather, continuing to black out multiple times. It's starting to feel like his life and his family is nothing but a lie. This feeling turns out to be somewhat true, and at the end of the episode we watch as 3 figures break into the warehouse. The figures turn out to be Simon Williams, aka Wonder Man, Billy Maximoff, and Tommy Maximoff. Episode 5 would show how Simon, Billy, and Tommy managed to locate Vision, with it being established that somehow, thanks to the test performed on Simon in order to implant brainwaves into Vision, they became neurologically linked, and every time Vision would black out, he would be observing the world through the eyes of Simon, with Simon suffering from similar blackouts and seeing things from the perspective of Vision. We then watch as Vision begins to have a mental breakdown, as the sight of Billy and Tommy causes Vision to begin fully remembering his life with Wanda and the events of WandaVision. Vision becomes confused as to why he was previously unable to recall his past life, a query that is interrupted by Zeke Stane entering the warehouse and scolding Vision for attempting to break free of his simulation. Episodes 6 and 7 would show the backstory of Zeke Stane, while also setting up the final conflict of the series. Zeke is the son of Obadiah Stane, who grew up resenting Tony Stark for the death of his father. Similar to his father in Stark, he'd grow up with a keen interest in engineering and innovation, leading him to enroll in MIT. After he graduated, he'd become the head engineer at the Department of Damage Control, and to ultimately be named the leader of a joint program between the Department of Damage Control and S.W.O.R.D. This project would require 2 important steps: the recapture of Vision and testing the range of Vision's emotions based on the test performed using Simon's brainwave. In order to test this, Zeke created an iron armor to recapture Vision and implanted a memory suppressor into his skull, suppressing the memories given to him at the end of WandaVision. The robots who inhabit the city were all created by Zeke using discarded parts acquired by Damage Control on their various missions, and created Vision's family to truly test his emotional capabilities. But Zeke had an ulterior motive. Knowing that the Vision was a creation of Tony Stark, he wanted to cause Vision to suffer. Zeke wanted to simply destroy Vision if the test performed on him did not cause him to exhibit any emotion, but in the event that the tests were successful, he had something even more diabolical up his sleeve. But being revealed at the end of episode 7 that Zeke programmed every single robotic resident of Cherrydale, including Vision's family, to attack Vision on his command, forcing Vision to deal with the emotions of being forced to kill those who he views as friends and his own family. Episode 8 would show the massive fight that breaks out between Vision, Billy, Tommy, and Simon and the residents of Cherrydale, who all begin to act like mindless killing machines and begin vigorously attacking Vision. We also watch as members of Damage Control and S.W.O.R.D. attempt to force Zeke to stop the attack, but Zeke refuses, going full supervillain mode and donning the same iron armor he used to stop Vision and joining in on the attack. While the robots and Zeke would eventually be destroyed thanks to the efforts of Billy, Tommy, and Simon aiding Vision, the episode would end with Vision starting to wail like he's in pain, not wanting his family or the other residents of Cherrydale to be destroyed, showing that the tests performed on him were a success, as Vision is now capable of exhibiting human emotion. Episode 9 would have Damage Control call in two individuals to see if they could salvage the situation. Harley Keener and Riri Williams, two MIT graduates who were seen as experts in the field of robotics and artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, Harley reveals that he will be unable to save the robots in their current form, but Riri offers a different solution, saying that they could transfer the various robot AI to be used in different machines that can ultimately be used for the improvement and benefit of humanity. The series with them was Simon and Vision finally having a chance to talk, with Vision thanking Simon for allowing him to feel once again. Vision would also agree to aid in Billy and Tommy finding their mother, but interestingly, two others want to help the trio in their quest as well. Both Harley, who tells Vision that he should be able to fully restore his memories if he has some time to examine his mechanical structure, and Riri, who now has Viv and Virginia as AI within her Ironheart armor, wants to help Vision find his wife. Something that both Viv and Virginia want as well. This will obviously be continued in future series, but until then, we have another movie to discuss. So next up, movie number 2, Doctor Strange, Nexus of Nightmares. This project will primarily focus on Doctor Strange working with Clea to fix the incursion problems that are ravaging the multiverse. We would also be introduced to an incredibly important concept during this project. Pocket dimensions, like the TVA, the Dark Dimension Tau Lo, and the Celestial Holopolis, are locations that are not impacted by incursions due to them operating outside the normal bounds of space and time and also not being connected to the quantum realm. This means that if the entirety of the multiverse was destroyed, beings that are housed within these POG dimensions would be unaffected. More on this later. There are two hiccups involved in this project, however. First, travel between POG dimensions require a highly advanced form of magic. One that took Clea 30 years on her own to master. And second, Sinister Strange, a different variant than the one we saw killed in Multiverse of Madness, has teamed up with a being known as Nightmare, the world of the Nightmare pocket dimension, and it's seeking to subjugate as many pocket dimensions as he can, with both men feeling that the impending collapse of the multiverse could open up the door for a power struggle between those who reside in pocket dimensions. Especially if someone is capable of using magic to travel between pocket dimensions, many could die and have their land and resources taken away from men like Nightmare and Sinister Strange. This project would primarily focus on Strange growing into one of the most powerful beings in the MCU and reminding everyone of the potential the Ancient Ones saw in him back during the original Doctor Strange movie. Strange would not only master the spell required to fix incursions relatively easily, but also master travel between pocket dimensions within a couple of days. We would also see Strange's relationship with Clea grow throughout the film as the two become strong allies while a romance between the two also blossoms. The ending would have Doctor Strange and Clea defeat Nightmare and Sinister Strange, who is pushed into the quantum realm by Strange during their final confrontation. The project would end with Strange returning to the Dark Dimension with Clea, where we would have a cameo from Dormammu. It is revealed that Clea is his niece, resulting in a fun comedic moment that is abruptly cut off when Strange receives a message from Wong, who warns Strange that the end of the multiverse has arrived. The post-credit scene would show Doctor Doom, Maestro, and an older variant of Thanos recruiting Sinister Strange to join their cause, with Doom claiming that he requires Strange's magical capabilities to control the multiverse, clearly showing how Doom twists his words to deceive those he needs. Next up, show number 4, Daredevil Born Again Season 3. This 9-episode series will be the culmination of the Daredevil Born Again series and also serve as a series where the Defenders officially reform. Episode 1 would show the Defenders, consisting of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Colleen Wing, all working together to prevent crime around the city, showing how ineffective the anti-vigilante task force is. We also see Foggy and Kieran playing a crucial role in the series, helping the team by feeding them information about the whereabouts of Fisk's goons. Episodes 2 to 3 involve the takedown of Leopold Strike, aka the Eel, a minor villain who is hired by Vanessa to smuggle drugs around New York City. This is when Angela Del Toro would officially assume the title of White Tiger and become a member of the Defenders, despite initial hesitation from Matt. The defeat of Eel would result in the police uncovering classified documents that lead back to Vanessa and her underground criminal operation, while also slowly showing public support returning in favor of vigilantes. Episode 4 shows Matt and Karen celebrating the defeat of Eel, establishing that finally their romance is given some room to blossom. It also shows how Fisk prepares to respond to the actions taken by the Defenders. Fisk initially believes that he should get the feds involved, based on the fact that groups of heroes working together is now illegal, but Buck quickly shoots down the ideas. Getting the feds involved might open up Fisk to liability for Vanessa's drug smuggling operation. Fisk ultimately decides to go with a different group to take out the Defenders, the Serpent Society. Episode 5 goes with Matt finding out that the evidence gathered against Vanessa was somehow destroyed and the case was thrown out by the state, causing Matt to have flashbacks to Season 1 when it appeared that everyone in New York was somehow in the pocket of Wilson Fisk. The episode would end with the Defenders intercepting information about another drug smuggling operation that turns out to be a setup orchestrated by Fisk, and setting the stage for the Defenders to face off against the Serpent Society led by Sidewinder. Episode 6 would involve the Defenders facing off against the Serpent Society. A massive firefight breaks out that results in bloody streets and an unlikely ally jumping into the fight, Frank Castle. While the Punisher would refuse to join the Defenders, he couldn't stand by and allow thugs such as the Serpent Society to invade New York, with massive bloodshed resulting because of his involvement. The conflict would end with both the defeat of the Serpent Society and mass hysteria overcoming New York, forcing both Matt and Wilson to change their strategy. Episode 7 would see both sides of the battle formulating their final plan of attack, with Matt and the Defenders deciding that they will confront Fisk head-on, while Kieran and Feige will look to uncover incriminating evidence that can finally bring him to justice. Fisk, on the other hand, decides to travel to the Raft, where he releases Hellcat and Diamondback, recruiting them to exact revenge on the people who imprisoned them in the first place. The episode would end with Fisk announcing a citywide sweep conducted by his anti-vigilante task force, giving them governmental immunity to search every residence in New York and seize any items that they believe might be evidence in connection to the attack made by the Punisher and his posse. Once again framing that these actions are steps taken to protect New York. Episode 8 would start the epic finale of the series, with both the Defenders and the citizens of New York fighting back against Fisk's unconstitutional citywide searches and seizures. We would see a rematch of Luke and Diamondback, with Iron Fist also getting in on the fight as well. Misty Knight would return in cameo, fighting alongside Colleen Wing and White Tiger to take down the anti-vigilante task force goons. While Jessica Jones would have a heartfelt battle with Hellcat, a fight where she is forced to bring down her sister. The episode would end in the mayor's office as we see Daredevil and Kingpin preparing to confront one another for the last time. Episode 9 would show the epic clash between Daredevil and Kingpin. The fight would feature flashbacks to all previous seasons of Daredevil, showing the growth of both Matt and Fisk as they battle it out for the last time. In the end, Fisk would be defeated and would be charged for releasing 2 criminals from the Raft. A charge brought on by Misty Knight, who found evidence of this thanks to documentation provided by a turncoat within the Raft security team. This would lead to the arrest of Fisk, Vanessa, Buck, the anti-vigilante task force, and other officials involved with Fisk. Fisk would be transferred to a prison on the West Coast, a prison where he lacked any meaningful connection or influence, preventing him from orchestrating yet another escape. The series would end with Iron Fist and Colleen Wing returning to Kunlun after receiving an urgent request for their return. Jessica revealing to Luke that she is pregnant with their child, Luke deciding to announce his candidacy for mayor in the upcoming special election, and Matt, Kieran, and Foggy all sitting down together in Josie's bar, raising a glass for a job well done. Alright, the next project's a big one, so here we go. Movie number 3, Avengers Multiverse War. This would be a massive project that would cover the ultimate fight between the Council of Kangs and the Avengers. But let me explain the 3 groups at play here before we begin. Obviously, we have the Council of Kangs, made up of thousands of Kang variants, including the Scarlet Centurion, Immortus, Time Eater Kang, and Kangaroo the Conqueror, just to name a few. They'd be led by Kang the Conqueror and his assistant, Ravonna Renslayer, and their mission would be to destroy the multiverse and create a single unified universe housed in the quantum realm, where they will be in charge and build a perfect utopia. Avengers would consist of Captain America, Captain Marvel, Wasp, Black Panther, Hercules, Star-Lord, Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Wonder Man, War Machine, Bucky Barnes, Photon, Wong, and Lady Sif. Thor, members of the Council of Gods, Moon Knight, Hulk, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, and Clea would all eventually join the conflict. We'll get into that later. This project also follows a third group, led by Victor Von Doom and his group of multiversal variants who are seeking to enter the Beyond dimension and gain the power of the Beyonder. A lot of moving parts and a lot of characters, but hey, gotta work with what we got. Oh, also, any characters who aren't involved in this movie, namely Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, the Defenders, and all the other young heroes, all have projects in between this project and Secret Wars, so their absence will be explained later. Keep this project short and as straightforward as possible. Thor warns Captain America of the information given to him by Loki. Information about an upcoming conflict led by a group known as the Council of Kangs who are seeking to destroy the multiverse. Recalling the name Kang thanks to the conversation he had with Wasp after Quantumania, Sam decides to reform the Avengers against the law of the United States to figure out a way to save the multiverse. This gets the attention of the Dark Avengers, who have been spying on the group since the end of World War Hulk. Wasp decides to activate the old quantum tunnel and transports the group to the quantum realm, where the Avengers come face to face with the Council of Kang. The battle between the groups is brutal, with Thor and the Council of Gods showing up to the fight with Moon Knight, as well as Hulk and the Guardians of the Galaxy, who have been trapped in the quantum realm this entire time, and Doctor Strange and Clea arriving from the Dark Dimension. Eventually, the Dark Avengers would also arrive, thanks to the expertise of Ghost, who also knows how to use the quantum tunnel, and would result in a battle taking a drastic turn when the Sentry enters his void persona after being overwhelmed by the sheer amount of death and destruction surrounding him. This would result in the battlefield becoming a nightmare. With death and destruction all around, we see multiple universes perish before our eyes. Oh, and the technology used by Kang would also confirm that the 10 Rings of Power was a weapon used by Kang during the last multiversal war that he left on Earth. Eventually, we would find Doctor Doom and his group of multiversal variants, made up of Hydra Captain America, Sinister Strange, Maestro Hulk, God King Thanos, and Maker Reed Richards, who Doom begrudgingly agreed to work with. The film would end with us watching Doom and his team finally open and gain access to the Beyond Dimension, where we find the Beyonder, who is malnourished and appears to be millions of years old. With the help of Sinister Strange and Maker Reed's technology, we watch as Doom uses his magic to absorb the power of the Beyonder, becoming the most powerful being in the multiverse. Doom would then travel and stop the fighting between the Avengers and the Council of Kangs, removing his mask and saying that his name is Tony Stark. This causes the Avengers to get emotional, not knowing how the former hero of Earth returned, but believing that they have won the day. This is when Doom tells the Avengers to place their trust in him, and with the use of his newly acquired powers, he watches Doctor Doom destroys the multiverse, with the only two managing to escape destruction being Strange and Clea, who quickly returned to the Dark Dimension as Doom launched his attack. As the screen turns to black, all that remains is an empty quantum realm, a place Doom calls a blank canvas, where we watch him slowly build his new perfect singular universe. The movie ends saying that Doom will return, and we also have a post-credit scene showing Mr. Fantastic pulling Deadpool and Wolverine into the TVA, where we see Loki approach them, saying that they are now a part of his team of heroes that will save the multiverse. Just so you know, the next three projects all take place during the events of Avengers Multiverse War, either before the events of the project or in pocket dimensions outside the typical bounds of space and time, so think of these similar to Ant-Man and the Wasp, like movies in between Infinity War and Endgame, as all three are vital to the story. And with that said, let's get into them. Movie number 4, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 8 Immortal Weapons. This movie would take place right before the collapse of the multiverse and would involve Shang-Chi, Katie, Xiling, and the Ten Rings organization being called back to Tao Lo by his aunt. The genre reveals that Tao Lo is part of a large interconnected pocket dimension known as the 8 Capitals of Heaven, whose capitals are Tao Lo, Kunlun, Kunzi, Tiger Island, Peng Lai, the Kingdom of Spiders, Zagambo, and the Undercity. These factions used to work together in harmony, forming a strong bond that was used to defeat the monster that used to terrorize the 8 capitals, Fing Fang Foom. The warriors of the 8 capitals, otherwise known as the Immortal Weapons, worked together to defeat the monster. But territorial disputes created a rift between the capitals, and they are now all isolated from one another. However, the amount of cosmic energy released by the collapsing multiverse has become so great that it has managed to seep into their pocket dimension, loosening the chains that once held down Fing Fang Foom, causing Ying Nan to fear that he might soon break free and wreak havoc on the 8 capitals once again. To make matters worse, Fing Fang Foom is at least 10 times more powerful than the Dweller in Darkness, meaning that Shang-Chi will not be able to defeat the monster on his own. Nan wants Shang-Chi, Katie, and Xiling to recruit the other capitals to help restrain Fing Fang Foom, believing that Shang-Chi should lead the next generation of warriors and hopefully end this years-long dispute between the capitals. This would turn into an adventure film which sees Shang-Chi and his friends travel across the 8 capitals and recruit a team to deal with Fing Fang Foom. The team includes Iron Fist and Colleen Wing from Kunlun, the Crane Champion from Kungzi, Lu Hua, aka the Tiger's beautiful daughter from Tiger Island, yes, this is her actual name, Fat Cobra from Peng Lai, the Bride of 9 Spiders, who returns from the Netflix series, from the Kingdom of Spiders, John Aman, aka the Prince of Orphans, again, this is his actual name, no joke, from Zagambo, and Shi Hing, aka Dog Brother Number 1 from the Undercity. The 8 Immortal Weapons would eventually team up to defeat the freed Fing Fang Foom, whose chains are finally destroyed, resulting in the 8 capital cities ending their conflict and agreeing to work together moving forward. The post-credit scene would show Doctor Strange using his pocket dimension traversing spell to enter their dimension, where he encounters Shang-Chi. The confused Shang-Chi inquires as to why Strange decided to visit the 8 capitals of heaven, but he is quickly cut off by Strange, who tells him to gather as many warriors as he can and follow him. They'll be joining his army, an army whose mission is clear: defeat the man who calls himself Tony Stark and save the multiverse. Obviously, this will lead into the events of Secret Wars, but before that we have 2 more projects to discuss, so next up, we have show number 5, The Young Avengers. This 9-episode series would show the formation of the Young Avengers, and also conclude the story thread made in WandaVision, Multiverse Madness, and Vision Quest, the reunion of Wanda, Vision, Billy, and Tommy. Episodes 1 to 3 would primarily deal with the recruitment of the team and also follow up on the events of Vision Quest, which start a few weeks before the events of Multiverse War, as we see Vision, who has now regained his full memory, intelligence, and color, although slightly altered thanks to Harley. Billy, Tommy, Harley, and Riri attempted to find out what happened to Wanda at the end of Multiverse of Madness, and if she truly died or was merely transported somewhere else. This is the 5 to consult James Rose, specifically in regard to the classified nature of Wanda's death, the revealing that the only person who might have the answer to their query would be Doctor Strange, aiding the group in finding the location of the Sanctum Sanctorum, where they would meet Wong and America Chavez. After Wong and America give their eyewitness account of what transpired that day, Vision inquires to see if there's a way that the group can visualize their memories, leading to Wiccan showing an impressive new ability, using his magic to remove the memory of the event from both Wong and America and placing it inside Vision's memory. Vision replays the scene over and over in his mind, slowing down the events as much as he can until he notices something interesting. Wanda was not killed, but rather it appears that she was abruptly absorbed by something right before she would have been crushed. Vision asks Wong if he is aware of anything that could have caused this, leading Wong to recall something mentioned by Strange a while ago, powerful demonic beings known as Hell Lords. According to ancient texts, Hell Lords are beings that will often appear at the very moment a mortal soul is on the brink of death, offering them a chance to serve under them in exchange for something else. Because of this, Wong believes that the only possible place Wanda could have gone would be the Hell Dimension, a pocket dimension that houses the Hell Lords. While the group decides to find a way to enter the Hell Dimension, Wong warns that the journey will be incredibly dangerous. If they are going to come face to face with a Hell Lord, they will likely die, considering that Hell Lords are as powerful, if not more powerful, than even sorcerers like Strange. This leads the group to recruit a team that would travel into the Hell Dimension and rescue Wanda. The members would include Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, Miss Marvel, and America Chavez. While these four decide to join for various reasons, Vision's recruitment of the team was intentional. Remember the original reason he was created by Stark and hoping to form a new group of heroes to answer the call if the world ever found itself facing total annihilation. Episode 4 would show the group attempting to gain entry into the Hell Dimension, a feat that is only possible thanks to Wiccan's powers, and America managing to convince Wong to explain how the spell to enter the Hell Dimension works. After Wiccan manages to open up a small entry into the Hell Dimension, we watch as the group enters, with the episode ending off with the group being captured by demonic pawns of the Hell Lord who rules over Hell. Episode 5 would introduce us to the being known as Mephisto, the demonic ruler of the Hell Dimension, and also reintroduces us to Wanda, while also giving us insight into what transpired at the end of Multiverse Madness. As it turns out, Mephisto did indeed attempt to recruit Wanda to serve him, but in exchange, Wanda asked for Mephisto to give life to her two sons, Billy and Tommy, so that they may find their father and live a happy life without her. Mephisto used Wanda's memory to create the souls of Billy and Tommy, dispersing them in the form of scarlet wisps that eventually found their way into the deceased corpses of Billy Kaplan and Thomas Shepard. Mephisto would then banish the group to the very depths of hell. And the episode ends with the young heroes deciding to force their way back to Mephisto's lair and rescue Wanda. Episodes 6 to 8 would show the group's travel through hell, their growth as a team, and their eventual return to the lair of Mephisto. Episode 9 would show the clash between the group, who call themselves the Young Avengers, and Mephisto, who proves to be insanely powerful and easily thwarts the group's efforts, before Wanda decides to intervene, aiding the group and ultimately blasting Mephisto to the depths of hell. Wanda and her family finally reunite, and the series ends having the group agree to continue working together in the future. Post-credit scene would show America attempting to use her powers to allow the group to leave the Hell Dimension, but when she does, it is revealed that there are no universes for them to travel to, with their powers opening up a portal directly into a new, unknown world, establishing that the events of Multiverse War occurred while the group was traveling through the Hell Dimension. Sorry for speeding through the ending of the series, but this video is long and we have 3 more projects, so let's speed this up. Next up, we have movie number 5, Spiderman Brand New Day. This movie would be the final project before Secret Wars and actually takes place completely prior to the events of the movie, except for the very end. To quickly run through the project, following the events of No Way Home, Peter has basically begun acting as Spider-Man full-time and has kept battling minor criminals in order to keep the streets of New York safe. One day after successfully thwarting a robbery, Spider-Man is approached by NYPD Chief of Police Misty Knight and invited to have an informal meeting that evening with the mayor. This is when we find out that Luke Cage won the special election for mayor and is in desperate need of assistance in dealing with a new problem emerging in NYC. You see, a mobster known as Tombstone was attempting to fill the power vacuum left by Fisk and has begun an even more imposing drug operation than the one Fisk had during the height of his power. But the NYPD officers were sent to deal with the situation. They came back completely changed, seemingly having their minds wiped and their body distorted. Due to multiple vigilantes being MIA or busy, Iron Fist having returned to Kunlun, Jessica Jones at home with their newborn, and Moonnight not being seen in months, Cage would look to Spider-Man to deal with Tombstone alongside a trusted ally of his, Daredevil. We would then see Spider-Man and Daredevil working together to bring down Tombstone, while also exploring Spider-Man's sense of brokenness, his loneliness, and his anger. An emotion that becomes problematic when the duo encounter the Punisher, who encourages Spider-Man to unleash his anger on his enemies and to stop holding back. This is where we would see Spider-Man truly come to terms with his emotions and make a choice to go down one of 2 paths: allow his anger to overtake him and be like Frank, or to try to find the balance between anger and justice like Daredevil. Peter will ultimately choose the path following Daredevil, with the project ending off with Spider-Man and Daredevil facing off with and defeating Tombstone and his powerful ally, Mr. Negative, who has transformed the Feast Shelter where Aunt May used to work into a covert base where illegal drugs would be distributed. With the two villains being defeated, we would see Peter go in his friendship with Daredevil and begin opening himself up to the idea of becoming Peter Parker once again. However, the end of the project catches up with Doctor Doom destroying the multiverse, as we see the death and destruction of Earth within the MCU, as the MCU universe is totally destroyed. As Peter braces for death, we watch as he is quickly snatched away, waking up inside the TVA with Loki standing in front of him, informing Peter that he is the anchor being of his universe and therefore will play a key role in saving the multiverse. As you might imagine, this leads directly into movie number 6, Avengers Secret Wars. As you might imagine, this project is incredibly long and extremely complex, so for the sake of time, I'm going to try to condense it as much as possible. The ending would show what happened at the very end of Multiverse War. Dr. Doom destroyed the multiverse and transformed the quantum realm into his own perfect society, where he operates as God Emperor Doom. All the heroes and members of the Council of Kangs survive, but have been brainwashed to believe that they have always lived in this strange new place called Battleworld. We see various different eras of Battleworld and the citizens going about their daily lives. Some of the highlights include Greenland, a land filled with Hulk variants under the leadership of Vice Monarch Maestro, Utopia, home of the Mutants, who are all returning actors from the Fox era of Marvel, and Doomsday, the capital and home of Dr. Doom, his Vice Monarchs, and their army, the Thor Corps, filled with various variants of Thor, including Beta Ray Bill, who served Dr. Doom. We then cut inside the TVA as we see Loki watching what is occurring in the quantum realm and explain the situation to the small group of anchor beings he assembled to fight back against Doom. Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, Deadpool Wolverine, Wesley Snipes' Blade, Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, Halle Berry's Storm, and Eoin Gruff's Mr. Fantastic. Along with the remaining members of the TVA and the Fantastic Four, Loki desperately tries to figure out a way to save the multiverse. The anchor beings Loki managed to save are not completely bought into working with Loki, however, with many being upset their universes perished and that Loki was unable to save more anchor beings to help in the fight. Pedro Pascal's Reed chimes in and apologizes for the ineffectiveness of his multiversal bridge, saying that the multiversal collapse happened so fast that he wasn't able to save as many as he would have liked. This is also when we see Loki take accountability for what has happened, saying that what happened inside the quantum realm is a representation of what he used to believe having power was meant to be used for: controlling others and asserting your will over them. However, through watching He Who Remains and seeing the actions taken by Doom, he has confronted his past sins and is committed to making amends for what went awry, telling the group that his ultimate and final goal is to sacrifice himself in order to recreate the multiverse, knowing that through the selfless act he will truly be born as a new man. This motivates the saved anchor beings to agree to help Loki, and as the group begins planning, we also see Franklin Richards causing problems for Ouroboros inside his laboratory, with him noting that the baby has an insane amount of power. Loki reveals to the group that he was given a blueprint of Dr. Doom's compound thanks to a mole on the inside of the quantum realm, who somehow was not impacted by Doom's magic. Loki reveals that the plan for the group is to separate the Vice Monarchs from Doom, which will allow Loki and the Fantastic Four to confront Doom head on, with Loki revealing that he has been practicing his magic non-stop since He Who Remains death and feels that he might be capable of bringing down Doom. The group's roles are as follows: Deadpool and Wolverine will distract Vice Monarch Maestro, Blade and Ghost Rider will be in charge of distracting Vice Monarch Thanos, who is always on guard at Doom's throne room, Storm will distract Vice Monarch Rogers, Reed will distract Vice Monarch Maker Reed, and the three Spider-Men will distract Vice Monarch Strange and Kang. However, the one variable Loki still doesn't know how to handle is the Thor Corps, with the group deciding the best course of action would be to draw the Vice Monarchs away and into the various locations around the quantum realm in order to cause the corps to disperse. Loki mentions that the chance of victory is slim, and even if he and the Fantastic Four manage to get to Doom himself, the variants employed by Doom are all incredibly powerful, and the team's chances of survival are astronomically low. But this does not deter the team, who all agree to put their lives on the line for the sake of the multiverse. With this, Ouroboros gives each of the heroes an upgraded weapon to use in their battles, handing MCU Peter a clear container that appears to contain a black blob of sorts. Toby tells Peter that this is a symbiote and strongly encourages him to avoid using it at all costs, as it will warp his mind and make him lose himself the more he relies on its power. Heeding this warning, Peter does not unleash the symbiote but puts it away in case he finds himself in need of additional power later. With the group having their plan fully fleshed out, they wait for a specific time, the 5-minute window every day when Thanos is the only Vice Monarch in the castle, to strike, sending in Blade and Ghost Rider at the right time. Their plans are seemingly turned upside down when it is revealed that Thanos, Strange, Cap, and Maestro are all present upon Ghost Rider and Blade storming the castle. Fearing that the mole has set them up to fail, Loki curses. praying for some sort of distraction to prevent their plan from going up in flames. Somehow, his prayer was seemingly answered as shortly after Ghost Rider and Blade entered Battleworld, multiple portals started opening up around Battleworld as new intruders entered the fray. Doctor Strange, Clea, and a group of fall-time soldiers along with Shang-Chi, the Immortal weapons, and soldiers from the 8 capitals of heaven storm into Battleworld with the hope and goal of taking down Doom. To save time, I'm going to go over the highlights of what happens next. Doctor Strange manages to free the residents of Battleworld from Doom's mind control, resulting in the residents fighting back against Doom and his men. Doom releases Doombots to aid his Vice Monarchs in their fight against the various variants of the multiverse. Peter would eventually unleash the symbiote and gain the iconic black suit, doing so in order to protect his friends and colleagues. We'd eventually watch the Young Avengers Vision and Wanda arrive on the scene, but until then, let's go over the important battles that would occur outside of the confrontation with Doom. These would include Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes versus Hydra Cap, the Fox X-Men teaming up to stop Immortus and Rama Tut, MCU Hulk and Scar versus Maestro, Vision, Billy, and Tommy versus Thanos, Clea, Wong, Blade, and Ghost Rider versus Sinister Strange, the Fox Fantastic Four versus Maker Reed, and the 3 Spider-Men, Deadpool, and Wolverine versus a ton of Doombot. Now, the confrontation with Doom would first be stopped by Kang the Conqueror, who seeks to prevent Loki and the Fantastic Four from entering his chamber, but Kang is ultimately talked down by the individual revealed to have been the Mole this entire time, Ravonna Renslayer. As it turns out, the mind altering used by He Who Remains made Doom's mind control less effective over her, and wanting her boss to be the one who comes out on top, Renslayer decided to allow others to have their shot at bringing down Doom. With Kang stepping aside, we watch as Loki faces off with God Emperor Doom alongside the Fantastic Four. Doom's strength is insane, easily overpowering Loki, but thankfully reinforcements are on the way as we see the Thor Corps arrive to aid their brother in battle. We even get a scene showing just how far Loki has come, wielding Mjolnir to help combat Doom alongside MCU Thor. In the end, Loki would team up with the 2 other strongest sorcerers in the MCU, Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff, to finally destroy Doctor Doom. And yes, I didn't mention, but Peter did see Doom's face and how it resembled Tony. This was a driving force that led him to use the symbiote. After the dust has settled, Loki, Strange, and Wanda attempt to use their powers to reconstruct the multiverse, but even with the trio's unfathomable strength, they are still shown to lack the power necessary to create entire universes. This is when Ouroboros theorizes that they could use Franklin's powers as a catalyst, considering the power emanating from Franklin is more potent than the trio combined. With Franklin added to the mix, we watch as Loki sacrifice himself to become the new god of the multiverse. As with the Four's combined power, the multiverse and all those innocent civilians whose lives were lost are restored. The ending of the film would show our heroes returning to their daily lives, ending with Peter Parker watching the TV in his apartment, showing a report from the local news station about people suddenly discovering that they have powers. This leads into the final project of the Multiverse Saga. Show number 6, The Mutants. So as it turns out, the recreation of the multiverse released a massive amount of cosmic energy, enough to trigger the dormant mutations within a ton of individuals to become active. Yeah, remember that small detail from the Miss Marvel series? Well, here's the payoff. So I'm going to keep this brief. This 6-episode series will primarily introduce the MCU to the mutants and also set up the main mutants who will follow moving forward. Charles Xavier, Nathaniel Essex, Eric Lencher, Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Hank McCoy, Bobby Drake, and Warren Worthington III. We'd see Charles open up the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, show the ideological differences between Xavier, Lencher, and Essex, and set up the first project of the next saga, the X-Men, the movie that would kick off phases 7 to 9, otherwise known as the Mutant Saga. And that is the series. I hope you all enjoyed and had a fun time listening to my ideas. I don't know if I will ever do something like this on this scale again. I really didn't enjoy making this video. It felt more like a chore than anything. But I'll keep releasing small Marvel pitch videos or ideas here and there alongside RMCU and my various story analysis series. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more info on future videos. I definitely think I'm going to be taking a break for a week or two, but I'll be back. So thanks for watching my videos and continuing to support me along the way. But again, I'll see you all very soon, and I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weekend. This is JT Videos, signing out. Peace.